another edition of RCE. Again, this is Brock Palen. You can find our shows online at rce-cast.com. You can also follow me personally, tweeting about HPC stuff and generally computer-related stuff. You can follow me at Brock Palen, all one word. Again, also, I have Jeff Squyres from Cisco Systems on loan to us again. He's also a major developer of OpenMPI. So, Jeff, thanks again for your time.
Sure, Brock. I'm always happy to do these things. I always learn new things. And by the same token, on my blog recently, on blogs.cisco.com, I've been trying to demystify a bunch of internals of MPI kinds of things. So I'd love to hear what your questions are. If people have questions, please feel free to email them to me, tweet them to me, whatever, and I'll answer them on the blog.
Yeah, I've really been enjoying the last string of a couple of demystification of some of the things that MPI libraries actually do in practice, and so that's been quite an enjoyable read.
Good. All right,
okay.
Well, what are we talking about today?
Today we're actually talking to a guy who works on one of the very first libraries I ever used, which is the AMD Core Math Library. It's AMD's implementation of some of the BLAS and LAPACK and some other things like that. Yeah, our guest today is Chip Freitag from AMD, and he's calling in on a phone, so his quality may not be that great. But Chip, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know what your position is?
Sure, Brock, and thanks for having me on the show here. I'm a developer in the AMD Math Library section. I've grown up with the group. We now actually have a group of people working on math libraries at AMD. Back when I started on it was me and one other guy, Tim Wilkins. I started at AMD 18 years ago, started in the marketing position, actually a technical marketing position. I have a degree in aerospace engineering from the University of Texas, and have been in the computer industry for about 30 years, working on a variety of embedded applications and communications and networking types of applications, and then eventually here at AMD working on floating point math libraries, which is the closest I've gotten to using my aerospace engineering degree.
So why don't we dive straight into this? What is the ACML?
ACML is the AMD Core Math Library. It's a collection of floating point math routines heavily used in scientific and engineering types of applications. It's relatively popular in the high-performance computing industry. It consists of the BLAS linear algebra package, LAPACK, a set of FFTs, and a collection of random number generators. The library is available in as you're used to with BLAS and LAPACK routines. We have this available in all the precisions that you would expect: single, double, single precision complex, and double precision complex as well.
So what's the history of the ACML? How did it come into existence? Why is AMD offering it? That kind of thing.
So that's an interesting question. Back in, well, gosh, I guess it was about the 96 time frame, it seems like. Maybe, no, I'm sorry, it was about around the year 2000 when AMD was inventing the AMD 64 architecture. We had taken the Intel x86 32-bit architecture and extended it to allow 64-bit operands and 64-bit addressing space. Back when we were working on that as a skunkworks project, we realized that high-performance computing types of programs would be willing to take advantage of this in a big way. At the time, the only math library that existed was the only vendor-driven math library was, of course, MKL, but the BLAS and LAPACK routines that were out there were only available in 32-bit flavors. And in addition, the C and Fortran compilers that were available at the time would only emit 32-bit instruction streams. So, as part of a larger effort to develop a mature set of OS and compiler offerings that the industry could use to run on our machines, we also realized that we needed to do math libraries. So a project was developed, and at the time, Tim Wilkins had just started at AMD, and he had a propensity for taking compute kernels, especially DGEM, and tweaking them for x87 and in those days the 3D Now instruction set, and making them run as fast as you can make them run. And we turned that into a set of library routines that we were able to make available as a product offering. In addition, at the time we were working on a set of math transcendental functions, you know, sine and cosine and exponent and log and those sorts of things. And I personally worked on that and worked with NAG to turn those into a product and get those ported for the 64-bit architecture that we were going to bring to market. And those two efforts kind of converged such that when we were finished with the math transcendental functions, it was a natural extension for us to then go to NAG and have them start producing, have them start collaborating with us to produce the ACML library.
So I noticed on the ACML manual that, and you just mentioned there a few times, NAG comes up a couple of times. How close is the relationship with NAG and NAG's Numerical Algorithms group from the UK?
That's correct. The relationship with NAG is reasonably close. We work with a fairly small group of people there. NAG, as many people probably know, offers a relatively popular statistical library that's used as a reference by many people. We ended up licensing portions of ACML from NAG. As for instance, we licensed their LAPACK code, and that's what we use rather than the standard NetLib LAPACK code. They've done an extensive amount of work with that, solving some of the bugs that you find in the NetLib code, but also introducing OpenMP pragmas to make that multi-threaded. So we license that code from them, and that's what we use for LAPACK and ACML library. We also have worked with them very closely, especially in the beginnings of the library, to productize the BLAS library and the FFTs. And we also licensed the random number generator code from NAG. We can continue to have a fairly close relationship with them, and we use them as technical experts on a variety of subjects.
So who uses the ACML?
The ACML user base is pretty much anybody who's got an AMD computer, although it's not limited to just AMD processors. Anybody who's got an AMD processor and needs to run a bunch of math code. The typical user is either anywhere from a university student on up to the managers at the national labs, the people that have to maintain the software base for the labs. Invariably, if they've got AMD, if they've got machines such as Crays that have AMD processors in them, they've got ACML in their bag of tricks for their user base. In addition, oil and gas customers are big users of ACML. They utilize our FFTs quite a bit. Financial institutions use us for the random number generators that we have. It's a wide variety. When I look at the download information for the library, it's a who's who of practically every university in the world and practically every Fortune 500 company.
So you mentioned in there this is focused on AMD processors, but it works on non-AMD processors. What's the reasoning behind that, and how much work is that for you?
Well, the reasoning behind that is because I have unfortunately yet to see a shop that has only AMD processors, and a common user request is that they want to have one executable that runs on all the various machines that they have. They also need to make sure that they get similar answers on